So Smita ma'am is facing few network errors now. So she is trying to sort it out. She'll be joining soon.
Right. We request all the participants to please mute your mics during the webinar and also during the question answer session. When you're asked when a question is asked, you will be your name will be called out, and then you can answer.
Hello, I am Professor Shashank, Principal of Midas. Welcome to Architecture and Midas. Architecture is a creative field that combines imagination and practical knowledge. Architecture is also a field that deals with designing of shelters, one of the three basic necessities of human beings apart from food and clothing. For any architectural education institute, three things are essential. First one is the infrastructure, second one is the mentors and the faculty, and the third one is the environment in which this teaching learning process takes place.
Prior to coming here as the Dean of Midas, I had been to many other places in the capacity of teaching as well as in the capacity of professional practice. I'm a person who truly believes in nurturing the education within. So my message to the students and parents and the faculty of Midas is that everybody is bestowed and gifted with their own unique talents. Somebody has to nurture it. Somebody has to help you identify your strengths and then work on it to become successful and grateful. So Midas is a place where you can come, get identified. You can find out who you are, what you are. And this is the place which is bestowed with such faculties and the facilities which helps and nurtures the students to come, find out, identify and conquer the world.
Say that those who wish to explore their interest and satisfy the passion, Midas is the best place.
We'll start?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. It's a bright early morning on a Saturday. And it's nice to have all of you here today. So the webinar is mostly related to the architecture, education, and profession, walk of life after VR. So we have a eminent panel with different experiences and exposures who will help us to understand the profession and the course. So without wasting much time, I'll now hand over the session to our principal, Professor Shashank Chakradeo, to give us the welcome address. Principal, sir.
Thank you, Praveen. Thanks everyone for joining. Good morning, architect Smita, Datta. Good morning, architect Binson, Oommen. Good morning, Professor Jayaraman. And good morning to all my colleagues. And good morning to all participants, young aspirants, architectural aspirants especially. Uh, we all are here today to have a little more insight into architecture as a profession. So we have well-known panelists also. Uh, Basically, architecture is a creative profession that deals with design of spaces and the shelters also, which include the spaces and many more things architecture uh, deals with. And there are many architects who find their passion also after graduating, after completing the architecture course. They realize they explore many things and they finally identify their passion and then work in some like field, creative field especially, right from photography to product designing to maybe even set designing and whatnot. So there is a huge spectrum that architect can handle uh, while learning 2 5 years of architecture curriculum and developing the taste for designing. The whole palette is available to them. So we have eminent panelists here to share their real life experiences about the architecture as profession and even the what is the scope for architecture after graduating and what is the scope for allied professions also after graduating. So I welcome all our panelists on behalf of MIDAS to give their insight, to share their real life experiences to the youngsters who may then really get motivated and inspired to join the architecture as a profession. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now into a small introduction to all our panelists today. First, it's Smita Datta Makija. Ma'am, she has established, first she's graduated from SPA for her undergraduation. Her post-graduation she has done in her Masters in Conservation Studies in IAAS York in the UK. And then she has gone on to establish Avesana Studio in 1988, which works on conservation and architecture projects driven by the process where solutions are based on the in-depth understanding of local identity, continuity, and a shared heritage, sustenance of the sensitive ecosystem, and socio-economic regeneration factors. Her projects and her research work has happened in places like Delhi, Ladakh, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, Assam, and Mizoram, so towards the breadth of the entire country. She is a visiting faculty for the Master's Program in Architectural Conservation in SPA in New Delhi and for the Urban Conservation Studio and for the thesis semester. She is also instrumental in developing the core module and appropriate sustainable adaptive reuse of heritage resources to include heritage revitalization, and she's been teaching it for the last 20 years. She is engaged in the public domain for appropriate heritage intervention action in Shahjahanabad through public interest litigations. She's also the co-author of the Delhi Declaration on Heritage and Democracy. Welcome today to the panel, ma'am. Next, we have Professor Jayaraman Nemeli. He's done his graduation from the University of Madras and then gone on to do his post-graduation in city planning from IIT Kharagpur. And he's a member of the CAOA, the IIA, the ITPI, and a registered licensed surveyor in Chengalpat. He's worked as an academician in various institutions. Currently, he's the professor at Marg Institute of Design and Architecture, Swarnabhumi. He's also been the professor and HOD at Arumugam Meenakshi College of Engineering. He's been a lecturer at Salah College of Technology in Oman. He's been the HOD School of Architecture at Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. And he's also been in the Operations Research Group Private Limited as a research assistant. And his experience goes on. He's been a field coordinator for baseline social survey of Phase 1, Phase 2 Tamil Nadu sector projects, co-member of Mega City program for Thiruvanmiyur and other places, Pamal, Chittalapakam. He's a team member of Urban Planner for City Corporate Plan, field coordinator for densification of MRTS corridor development, Chennai Phase 1 and Phase 2. and many other such projects. Welcome, sir, to today's panel discussion. Thank you for being with us today. And now we go on to the youngest person, I think, in the panel, Binson Oommen baby. He is graduated from Satyabama University, and then he's worked with Triple O Studio Chennai as a junior architect in many projects, which include the footover bridge at OMR, multiple residential projects, Meraki Works, then hostel designs for AMS College of Engineering. And then he's gone on to be the co-founder of Triple O Pixel Chennai. He's it's a architectural photography service. The Triple O Pixel started in 2017, an initiative works towards capturing the essence of architecture and heritage, and has worked extensively with professionals across the field. His achievements include 70 plus photo documentation projects of residences, schools, colleges. He's worked with over 15 plus firms across the country, and he's worked for the Sahapedia UNESCO grant for capturing vanishing heritage in Sidhpur, Gujarat, which includes both the tangible and the intangible heritage of Sidhpur. And he's carried various photo documentation award-winning architectural projects and also conducted workshops in many architecture colleges. So welcome today to our panel, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I think once the introduction has been done with, I think we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the whole panel discussion. So I usually like starting off with a question. So for many people who are our guests, so what is the profession of architecture? Who is an architect? So anyone could start. Maybe Smita ma'am, you would like to start? Oh, we can't hear you, ma'am. You're muted.
Hi.
Hello, ma'am.
I've been a practicing architect for the past 30 years. So I can tell you a lot about the profession of architecture. But the most important thing about architecture is how we shape the world, how we shape the environment that we design. And all our abilities are rooted in our experiences. So if we've had good teachers, we've read good books, we've experienced spaces which has given us joy, then we can create them. And your generation's really lucky because you have so much access to the virtual world. We had to actually go and travel the world to understand what good architecture is. So architecture can be at multiple scales. It can be at the smallest scale of designing a doorknob, or it could be at the scale of designing a whole room or a building, or it could be designing of the indoor and outdoor spaces together. And then it could widen up to be a street or a whole city as well. So in the current environment, the most important thing we are looking forward to train architects to do is to make development sustainable. So we like them to understand that they have a very responsible role because they shape the way people live. Whatever you design will dictate how people will use the space, and that will shape their lives. So we are really creators, and we are not creators like painters where you just paint a painting and somebody looks at it. People live and work and produce in the spaces we create. So we have a great responsibility to the society. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes. Would you like to add to it, Jayaraman sir, or?
Yeah. I just want to add with architect Smita what she has told about architecture. Architecture means it's basically a theater of imagination what we have. That means theater of the dreams. Whatever we are thinking in our mind, we wanted to bring that one into the reality. We can simply say that the creation of built form and open spaces is a proper meaning for an architecture. Yesterday, I have attended one webinar which was given by Wolf. He was telling what is architecture. When he started the explanation for architecture, he said, yes, it is what you are bringing into invisible things into the reality. The visible things are general in nature, but what we are bringing the invisible thing into the reality is in architecture. I think that is also one thing what people are thinking about that in their mind. We are bringing that into the reality. So the things which are in real thing, what we are bringing in through the creation, then that is an architecture.
Vincent sir, would you like to add?
So yeah, I would like to add one small thing from my small access. First of all, I would like to acknowledge myself. I'm really a beginner in this industry itself. Yeah. So from 2017 only, I am like professionally, I started my career. So I would like to add one small thing. For me, architecture, it's kind of almost like an lifestyle. It was a different lifestyle from you, the way you think, the way you talk to people, the way you think, approach anything. It's not only design or build form spaces. Towards any creative field, that is a kind of a lifestyle that you have to change from your like previous. So this is the one special thing I notice about architecture.
Thank you. I think the reason of the question is because everyone has a definition of architecture and who an architect is. I think all architects have their own version of it. So I just wanted to know that. Coming on a little more personal question, what made you take architecture? If each one of you could tell us in short. Bimal sir, you could start.
Okay. So so what drives me to architecture? It was first of all, to be honest, I can tell you till like 11, like till 10th standard, I didn't know there's a course called PR as it is. But after like okay, when it comes to like 11th and 12th, but I had a creative mind. Like why I was telling, like I love drawings. I enjoy like little small things, creative things. So when it comes to like when I reached like 11th, 12th, I got to know about there is a particular course just is designed for like this kind of mindset. That was a starting point. Then after joining, yes, I didn't have the complete knowledge what is exactly architecture. Still, people are figuring out things. So it was a complete different scenario. But yeah, that the one thing was the creative mind, creative towards arts. That's the basic thing.
Jayaraman sir?
Yeah, I joined architecture. I will tell you the truth, okay? I joined architecture only because of my brother, elder brother. In my family, there is no architects in my I don't have any background of architecture, and I don't know who is an architect when I joined architecture. When I joined architecture, I felt that I have jumped into something else in the world because they started from the scratch. Even we have studied history, we have studied geology, but we did not have mind setup of architecture. But I joined by writing the exam and everything. Whenever I attempt anything, I will success in that. When I wrote the exam, I got the entrance. I mean, passed out that entrance in TNPE. Earlier, they called it Tamil Nadu Professional Entrance Examination, and even exam from Anna University. But after joining architecture only, I came to know that what exciting it is. It gives lots and lots of inputs in our life, and it tune ourselves into something else which I unknown in the school days. Once I joined architecture, I did my bachelor's, but till that time I didn't have I didn't have any thinking about masters. But my professors who have helped me to join masters, and there are some scope for masters in architecture also. Then I wrote the exam, gate exam. I got IIT Kharagpur. After joining IIT Kharagpur, I felt that still lot of things are there in architecture, which I have missed in the bachelor's degree. But finally, now for the past 27 years, I am in the field of architecture since the students level to the professional level. I feel architecture is something very interesting, and still I need to learn a lot in that.
Smita ma'am?
I'm going to go now. So I wanted to be an architect from my class 8. And that is thanks to my aunt who was just getting married. Like my mommy was getting married, and we asked her as a bride that if you hadn't have to just become a wife, what would you be? And she said, I would have been an architect. And she had spent her child in this beautiful town called Bruges. And she really exposed me to the beauty of understanding buildings, and not just buildings, heritage buildings, like how historic buildings evolve. And I think that left a very, very strong impression on my mind. And as I grew older, I realized I was interested in maths and sciences, but I was also interested in the artistic innovations. So we were reading about, we got books on artists like Goya and Van Gogh and all that. And then someone gave me the book Fountainhead to read, and that really sealed it. And I said, yeah, this profession seems like it's not dominated by other people's vision. You create a vision and you can actually materialize your vision. So from a thought, like Jayaramanji said, that from a thought you create something tangible, something you can touch and feel, and it grows in front of you, just like a child. Every building is like you have ownership on it. It is like your own child.
That's a wonderful story then, ma'am. Again, going further on, as you see in the architecture field, how do you think the field has changed in the last, say, 5 or 10 years with the advent of technology or as practice? What do you see are the changes? Jairam sir, you want to take that first?
Yeah, when we were studying architecture, it was mainly related to manuscript. What we are doing it, we have to do it manually, all the things. But at present, you see there are AI, VR, that means architectural intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality. There are so many things have come up in the current scenario. But still, uh, as a professional academician, I feel that needs to be there in the current scenario. There are changes happen, but that changes has to be adapted, and we should use our creativity mind as an architect into that.
Okay. Smita ma'am, what do you think?
So I think the most important change which has happened in the last 5 years is that we are not looking at architecture as just a building. And there are a couple of reasons for it. The first reason is that we have the parameters with which we design. Like initially, we used to design with a programming, which is just a client's brief. But now we design with parameters which are set at a global level. So if we are designing something, we have an exposure to things which are happening all over the world. And then we have exposure about the impact of what we build. So there is that change of making just iconic architectural structures. Like if I looked at even the architect Franco Gehry's work, it's iconic. Like it's something you go there and you say this is a Franco Gehry building. But now what we are looking at is not to do just iconic work, but to do work which is sustainable, which is based in ecology, which is based on making the earth a better place to live in, which is based on climatology, like the controls that we need to build in. So we have to work harder in terms of understanding scientific data and making the built environment and the basically the built and open space environment more conducive to people living in a healthier place.
It's true. Binson sir, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I would like to add a different perspective towards the architecture career itself. So when I joined architecture, the type of the number of streams within architecture was really less. In the last from 2012, if I'm taking the amount of branches within architecture stream itself, it's diversified like anything right now. There are like lot of like different streams within architecture itself, from set design to that time, like from set design, art direction, from like architecture photography. Like I can tell from my own perspective, from when I was starting, that time the number of people who are like into architecture photography was less. Now the knowledge between people is getting more. So similar to that technology, like AI, VR, everything, and the softwares also. People are more like ma'am said. Like now people are using these all tools to see a different perspective towards architecture and buildings. So it's this is one of the main difference I have seen in from last like like 5 to 6 years right now.
It's very interesting that you brought this up, the different streams that are possible. I think a lot of our participants would also want to know what all is possible. So if you could all give us a little bit of maybe some light on that, what all are possible? What are the different streams?
I'd like to start here.
Yes, ma'am.
So the first thing about architecture is it teaches you how to organize your mind and to respond to creating a solution for a set of parameters which are set for you. I don't agree with Binson that we did not have, even 30 years ago, we had opportunities. We have among our classmates who have studied this Rekha Tandon. She is an Odissi dancer, but she says the training of architecture has led her to visualize dance in a different form. So this multidisciplinary training at the undergrad level of architecture helps us to choose a specialization. But those are not branches of architecture. If you want to specialize in architecture alone, then you please go and do masters in architecture. But after the basic training of architecture, your mind is trained to be inquisitive, to understand multiple parameters. I mean, all of you, if you've done maths, you would have done permutation, combination, and maths. Now, it's your mind becomes smart to look at permutations and combinations. So, hence, you can go into many fields. And of course, this question would have come later, but my favorite field is conservation. And conservation is, and the reason it's my favorite field is because I can look at a building and understand the mind of the person who created a building and what were their parameters for design and how did they create a solution for those parameters. So, of course, the fields and all, I think Jayaraman and Binson will be able to direct you to, but understand the concept that you train your mind to evolve solutions. It's an amazing training because you do it and you do it through a formal visual language. So you don't just keep writing, you make diagrams, you make sketches, and you connect your ideas in various ways. And once you've trained to work like that, you can take up any field. I mean, I would say I started cooking differently after architecture. I mean, if I make kebabs, I divide them into real equal pieces and make small balls. So, like Binson also said, it's a way of life.
Yeah, I want to add one more point with architect Smita.
Yes, sir.
Actually, in architecture, when we start teaching the students, we will start from the micro level, like a small space, interiors of one particular room, and then we will go every semester one level by seeing the standard and by making horizontal way of thinking, then vertical way of thinking, like that. Once they reach fourth year and final year, we will be focusing on current development, what is happening in architecture, along with the old past field like housing, even that is there now, but still people are focusing on software technology related thing like urban planning, redesigning, urban design, urban housing, settlements and planning, like madam said, no, conservation. There are so many branches and diversions are there in architecture after completing, but now we will be focusing only on architecture at this level because students are coming from 12th, no, so we will have discussion only related to that, but still there are so much branches are there in architecture with interdisciplinary things, professions, other professions.
So I would like to add to both sir and ma'am. So one thing, like I said, it's for me it was like it's a proper lifestyle. So architecture will train you to just like discipline, like you, it will train you to organize everything in your life. Say if you are a good singer, like ma'am said, you will start thinking in a different manner. So that is the one major thing I realized and I gained also, good analytical mind. Like you will start analyzing each and everything. The vertical thinking, like Sir said, you will start thinking small, each and small perspective. If you are good at drawing, architecture will help you to think different. Okay, in this particular field, I was not like a photographer before, but I had a view on visualization, how I see things. But architecture gave me a different perspective, and the training, the 5 years of training, gave me a different perspective how to rethink or see in a different way. So that's what I was meaning about with like a lifestyle. So to adapt that, that is the only difficult part. Within that, if you are a good singer, you can be a better singer. With architecture, if you are good at drawing, you can be a really good artist. So many of my friends itself, like they are similar to me in like photography. There are many people in art industry and say like movie industry. So this is not directly architecture streams, but architecture education gave them a different perspective in their career. Yes.
I want to add a little bit here. This does not mean you will not have a core competence.
Yes.
Architecture is a field which is as responsible as a doctor. You are going to have people living in the buildings you design. So you have to have the skill to build in a very, very responsible way. So the core training, what we have been expressing now, is in addition to the core training. The core training will make you into someone who can build a sound and reliable and safe built environment and its connected open spaces and its urban structure. It will connect you to from the smallest scale to the largest scale to understand how every component fits into each other. Because when we don't design by picking up things and putting them together. We have one concept, and that concept has to be visualized and materialized through every component of the structure we create. Okay?
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. And I think all of us agree on the same thing. And it's beautiful that we're talking about how we are training the mind. And it's not about just drawing or making drawings is what usually they think architecture is about. I think most of the training is the training for the mind. So as ma'am said, organizing your thoughts. And I think problem solving also in many ways, we do it on a day-to-day basis in our careers also. So it's very interesting, but so that the participants don't get overwhelmed about all what we are saying. A student of art, a person who wants to get into the field, prospective student, what does he need to have, or how can we make him comfortable and say that he can do this? Like, what does he need to know? What skills does he need to have, or what are the requirements? What would you
Yeah,
think it is?
I
Yeah.
will tell you. Okay, actually, he wants to join architecture means basic thing, physics, maths, chemistry. He has to study in 12, and if he is getting 50% of marks in that, that is minimum qualification. Government, I mean, Council of Architecture has fixed. Along with that, they have to write the entrance exam. That is NATA conducting entrance exam. Now, due to Corona, they are conducting as a online test. Earlier, there is also online test, but some part they have to make it manually also. But this time they made that one also into online. So I hope many people will be getting interest to write that exam, and they will be qualified this time. And these are the two things very important for joining architecture. And once they join architecture, automatically they will get interest to learn a lot, and they will become like an architect in the near future. And they will, I think everyone will follow the ethics of architecture.
I think Jairam sir has given us a brief on the process that the office procedures that need to happen. Maybe the other things that a student needs to look out for, ma'am.
I think the main thing is they have to be interested in, uh,
The field.
they have to be interested in learning.
Okay.
Because architecture, you have to be ready for it that after you finish your course also, you should be having that sense of curiosity. The physical aspects of getting into the course of architecture, Jairam ji has already clarified. I am saying uh, from your mental perspective, if you are curious and you want to create, then it doesn't matter. And there have been some great architects who didn't know how to draw also. So the thing is, but their vision was so strong. They in their mind they could see what they wanted to build. So they hired people who were architects to work for them. Of course, they passed colleges of architecture with not so great marks, but they created great buildings. There are people who have trained themselves under architects without having a proper degree and have become great architects as well. So the main thing is, if you have the desire to be a good architect and you want to excel in the field in terms of having the ability to judge what people would want to live in. It's like the Apple phone, it's like Steve Jobs. He didn't know how to design a phone, but he knew he wanted a phone which had a touch screen. So he just yelled there and said, it can be done, it can be done. And at that time, it could not have been done. But then he put a lot of people together and he made it happen. So sometimes if you can perceive what your generation needs or in which direction the development needs to go, then it's a great field. You can really go wrong if you just want to only draw, because then you should just draw in fine arts or become a graphic artist. Shaping an environment is very different from only drawing.
True. Binson sir, do you want to add to that?
Yes. So I would like to add to this point. So first of all, if I I would tell whoever wants to join architecture, they should know the difference between passion and a profession. Like ma'am said, if somebody is really good at drawing, that doesn't mean that they can survive in architecture or they can join architecture. They can go to any other fine art or something. The main thing is the enthusiasm or curiosity to learn new things. So in architecture itself, from a student's mind, I can tell you, from this over 5 years, in the first 1 year, they'll be yeah, I'm really passionate towards architecture. Second year will be okay, I am okay with it. Third year will be okay, I'm almost I'm confused. So that is the main difference between a passion and a profession. Profession will be, you'll have to carry it together, till you have to carry it. So it should not end in 1 or 2 years. It's you have to keep learning. You have to experiment yourself. You have to accept it. You have to keep learning things. So that is the one main thing.
Yes. And I think I completely agree that architects need to be learning all their lives. So it never stops. We are always evolving. I think in that respect, I'd like to know, are architects, obviously we will say yes, but are architects needed for society? What is our role? I think Smita ma'am covered a little bit of this in her previous answer also, but just to go over it again, why are we needed? What is our role in society?
So it's the same as doctors, I would say. I mean, because even if we look at the prehistoric man or even in the earliest part of the society, I mean, if people have awareness of Maya Mata and, Vastu Shilp Shastra and stuff like that, I mean, rules of architecture have existed. Architecture as a profession, the master craftsman was an architect in the historic periods. And even if you look at the design of Shahjahanabad, Red Fort, not Red Fort, but the whole city of Shahjahanabad in Delhi, to bring the water into the city, Ali Mardan Khan was brought all the way from Iran. So architecture is a scientific profession which shapes the environment you live in. And a layman can give you the way he wants to live, but he doesn't have the training to make it into a tangible, something you can touch and feel result. A course, there are people like, some are born musicians, some are born architects also. So you have people who haven't had training, like Carlos Carpa and people like that, who didn't train as architects, but eventually produced great buildings because they trained themselves while working on the profession. So you could be an architect by apprenticeship, but society needs architects to have spaces to live in. I mean, have you walked into a space and just felt sheer joy of being in a space? Like, why do people come and see Taj Mahal? If if there were no architects, Shah Jahan couldn't have sat and made Taj Mahal. He had his architect to build it for him. So you need a patron for architecture, someone who has a vision, who has the money to build, because you can't, I mean, you can make drawings, but it will not materialize if you don't have the finances. So the society needs architect as much as it needs any other profession.
Thank you, ma'am. Jairam sir, if you'd like to add to it.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, the role of architects in the society is very, very important. And architects cannot design just like that. They have to think the situation of the society, and whatever build form he is creating, he should think that one to be used well throughout the life. That means the care has to be given by architect in any build forms which he is creating on the society by keeping norms and standards which has been focused. Sometimes people will design or create a space which is a very, I mean, huge area with for this meager uses. Or sometimes people will be focused more people in one, more person in one small space, and it should not be like that. So the role of architect comes into the picture by seeing the standards properly. That means the creation also should be live long. That means the creation has to be taken care by architects in the society is very, very important.
Right. Binson sir, do you want to add to that?
I just want to add like a small thing, like so architects who basically that is a really like a medicine field or any other professional any other profession. It's like the person who design, like thinking past, present, and future, give you the best result. So that is the main thing about architecture and architects. Why we need to hire an architect, or why architects should be in each and every in the society in every different sector also. Not only in like designing building. That's my suggestion, my opinion. So
Yes.
people who think from past, like thinking about present and future also.
Right. Thank you, sir. And I completely agree with Smita, ma'am. And when she really compared it to being a doctor, I think it's we architects also create well-being through and health of the user based on the environment and the space that we create. So I think it's a very good comparison with medicine and a doctor, I think. So going on forward. Students usually have a fear about taking up the profession, and whether in comparison to other professions, like how would your life be? Will it be more difficult? Will you get the pay? Will it be so that how do we address that? Like, what do you think? Life after their architecture course, what can a student expect? A graduate expect? Or does he need to be fearful of that?
No need. I think students will get automatically. They will be tuned what the society will be needed from them when they complete architecture. Once they come into architecture, definitely they will be coming to know what is the role and what way the architects will be doing their jobs, or creating the things for the users in the society. All these things they will be taught in detail, and they will be allowed for training also during the course of academic courses. So once they do the training, they will come to know what they can do it in the future. Definitely they will be going and joining in architectural firm in the starting stage. Sometimes people, if they have background, they will start their own firm with their background. and sometimes people will go for masters. But once they go for any firm, they will be come to know the reality, what way the architectural practice is happening in the society, and they will be carried out. So I don't think they will be getting any fear once they complete architecture.
Right.
So I'd like to add, Jayaramanji has very clearly articulated that there is no fear. What I would like to add is through your career of being a student of architecture, what you should really look for is role models, because all architects don't function in the same way. And you must find what it is that makes you happy. Because one thing is clear, that architecture is not about 8 hours of work. The idea is generated in your mind and you're thinking about it while driving a car, while running a field, while walking a cliff. And when the solution crystallizes in your mind is dependent on many factors. And these are internal and external factors. So you need to understand what kind of lifestyle you would want. Would you want a boutique practice? Would you want a large practice? So you have to think 5 years ahead from the day you pass out, where you want to be in a profession. Because this profession does not have a straight up method of it's not like you are joining a company and then after 5 years you're getting a promotion. Of course, there are companies who will hire you like that also. So if you want to go in a streamlined method, then it's better that you apply for jobs which have a structured method of growth. But if you have an individualistic personality, so you have to judge your own personality. And in response to your personality, you have to set your 5 year goal after architecture. And even during your training periods, you must select the kind of organization which goes with your values. And these days, it's very easy. You go on the internet, you surf, and you find out. Like, I'll give my example that when I was finishing architecture, I only wanted to work with Joseph Allen Stein. My whole goal in life was I want to work for Mr. Stein. My parents kept getting me jobs, this friend, this uncle, he has an architect's firm. I didn't join any job. I just took a RA position in the college and I kept working as a research assistant till I met Mr. Stein, and he asked me to come for the job. He told me to spend a day seeing his buildings and drawing his buildings and bringing the drawings to him, so that he could see that I would be fit to work in his office. So it is it's sort of like meeting of two people. The one who is giving you the job must have the same goals and values as the one who's searching for the job. And it's not a straight path. If you want a creative route, you pick the creative route. If you want a straight path, then you join a government organization. Like there are students of mine who've done really well in DDA, who've done well in town planning organizations, who've done well in companies like Gensler and all, which are international big firms, architecture firms, infrastructure firms. So you have many routes. But the important thing is to keep searching for the route you want and never be afraid to change. Like, you may have chosen a route, but then in the middle of everything, you realize this is not the right path I chose, then you must be ready to change.
I completely agree. Yes, Binson.
Yeah, I would like to add. So, ma'am and sir was telling about people are already in like doing architecture or they're in the education system like architecture. I would like to add like people who wants to join architecture or people. I think the crowd is like before like 12th graduates and all is there. So I would like to add to their mind. If you are thinking, okay, like after graduation, like you're gonna make millions. In that mindset, I would suggest like don't take architecture like directly. Your intention is clearly it's okay. I want to make millions. Like in the 1 or 2 years, you can't do that. You like ma'am said, please join any other like professions. So we're like it's like a kind of it's up to your personality. Like ma'am said, you have to join like you have to develop your own corner, your own niche. So whether like you want to go in that kind of lifestyle, whether how you want to practice in down the line 5 to 10 years, how you want to look like okay, like I want to be this person, or I want to be like this architect, or your intention is no, tomorrow like after graduation I'm gonna join a higher company, like I'm gonna be making millions like in movies. No, that's not the case at all. But yeah, in a like on course, yes, like I agree with completely, ma'am. Yeah.
I want to add here, you can make millions if you're a great architect and you're a great businessman together.
Yeah.
So
But Vincent says not in the initial stage. It may
I mean, yeah,
be after some time.
that's
well,
what
in
that's what.
the initial stage, I mean, there are so few professions where you can make money.
Make millions. Yes.
And also, in those professions, you stagnate very easily. Like you reach a level and then there's no growth. In architecture, you have growth to the point you want your growth. There's there's no stagnation if you allow your mind to grow. And you reach out to the patrons. So it's literally like that. And again, I'm going to tell you a very nice story if we have the time. So I don't know if you people know about the Dome of Florence.
Yeah.
In Florence,
Yes.
there's this huge dome, and the architect for the dome was a junior architect, but he knew how to build this dome. The Pope would not promote him to be a senior architect. So what he did was he tied a bandage on his head and he kept telling the Pope that he can't come to work, he can't come to work, he has a headache and headache and headache. Then he was called by Pope's assistants and said, when will your headache go away? He said, when I'm made the senior architect on the job, my headache will go away. The Pope had to make him the senior architect on the job because nobody else knew how to build it. So the idea is to develop your skill to the level where people don't have a choice. They have to come to you. It's like people go to the best doctors, they will go to the best architects. And only your work will prove it.
Yeah. So
Completely.
I want to.
Yeah.
So I was telling about the practical side. As soon as people like parents concerned, I can tell. So as soon
Yes.
as they are graduated, they are comparing with the industry of IT, or because with the highest package, they'll be like, okay, my son is earning this much, or so how much is it? That is a general like a concern.
Yes.
So you have to understand that side of architecture also. That's what I was meaning. But if you're a great architect and also whatever it is, you should be a really good businessman. Then you can make like really good money in architecture. Yeah.
And
So
one
I
more
think
thing
that
also,
yes, sir.
people always think that it is a 5 years course, and other engineering courses are 4 years, and arts and sciences are 3 years. So people feel that that 3 years course, once they complete, they will be earning. But architecture, like Smita told, we can easily earn once you have more passion and more profession, like Binson said. If you have both profession and passion on your back side of your mind, definitely you will be achieving a lot even in the initial stage itself.
Right.
So that's why I said you need not
Thanks,
have
Karan.
yeah.
Yes, very interesting replies. I think now getting into a little more serious topic of what we're all dealing with right now. So all our lives have changed because of COVID, and I think a lot of us want to know, all the participants also, as either students are going to take this the course up, or those who are doing the course and going to get into the industry. How is COVID going to change an architect's life or architecture? Is it like for the good or for the bad or whatever it is?
Should I go first?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
So I've been running as a visiting faculty, of course, the conservation studio online. I have found two things from the practical experience. One is that you get, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
So one thing I found is that people in the studio, they are taking more responsibility in some ways, because what they need to do is they need to self-managed time. So what we are going to see, in every generation, we adapt to whatever the conditions are. And COVID is going to go away in a couple of years. I mean, we are, as a society, social human beings. We are going to step out and meet people and live our normal lives in at least a couple of years, if not a couple of months. All the universities are getting ready with their online programs. So I think there is no, it is a change in the way we will live, but it is not that it's going to be negative. It may even be positive. Like, obviously, it will have a balance. Some things will go away from our life and the other things will come into our lives. But it's going to happen worldwide. And globally, we are ready to accept this change. And the interesting part is our visiting faculty now can be from all over the world, because we can connect with someone sitting in America and ask them to come and conduct a class for us. So we are also learning as teachers, we are learning new ways to teach.
True. I think I completely agree. We just had Wolf Dietrich's a lecture, I think 2-3 days back, and I think he also conveyed the same thing about how we've become closer in a way after COVID. So maybe someone else also, if Jayaram said the impact on the profession as such.
Yeah, actually there is impact, whether it can be a positive or negative, but still impact is there. Academic wise, if you see, everyone has to change in online mode, and it is facing difficulties due to a lot of internet connectivity and infrastructure wise. But the scope is there for improvement always. Practice, when you consider practice, I think architecture side there is no problem. Only in the construction industry there is a problem. All the design wise architectural role is really limited to office part, and site architectural work is there. But still, like in case of Smita's profession, conservationists, they need to go for a site and visit. But some architectural role design creation, that will not have any impact. But in general, we can say both positive and negative impact of COVID in architecture profession.
Yes.
Binson?
So I would like to add on the practical side and the construction side of architecture right now happening. So it is having like a big impact on construction aspects. So whatever they already started right now, there are a lot of practical issues happening right now because of this COVID. But that doesn't mean that the profession is gonna die. No, nothing like that. The world is not gonna end tomorrow because of this COVID and whatever. Whatever it is, people will keep building things. Right now, what happened before they use for photography itself, I can tell you it is directly reflecting to the construction industry. So one thing, like I used to get a lot of inquiries. Now the amount of inquiries itself, it's less. That shows how much practical sites are getting finished. But whatever right now, like the people are to be in a practical side, people are not willing to start investing on a new thing. But whatever they already were doing, they are trying to finish it off because of the shortage of laborers. A lot of those kind of practical issues are also there, but it will change and we will adapt for sure. Like in past also, this is not the first thing we are facing in any kind of industry. So before also it happened, we will overcome all these things. We will adapt to new ways to work. And also globally right now we are connected. It's easy, like you said, from person from Europe, it's easy to just coordinate like in India. It's really easy. But the practical issue, it's there, but it's just temporary.
Yes. I think, yes, we will. I think the whole adjustment phase is what we are going through now. And within some given time, hopefully there'll be new systems, as Smita ma'am just put it, that will be in place and replace old practices. So one more question, and most probably we'll end it up with this and go on to the question answer session. Say we could time travel and you could go back in time and advise yourself before you started your architecture. What would be the best advice you could give yourself before you started this course? Anybody could start. Smita ma'am.
This one is a hard one. because
Just
you know, if you think back in time, you would like to change so many things. I would have then said I should have taken a gap year, and I would have gone straight to Harvard to study, and I wouldn't have gone to SPA. But at that time, just getting to SPA and convincing my parents that I want to do architecture as a girl was itself a struggle. So I think any amount of thinking that you do and you say you wish you knew, the parameters are not internal, they are internal and external together. So we have to live in the moment, and we have to respond to all the resources we have in the moment, and take it from there. We can't change the past.
okay. Or if someone entering, ma'am, someone you know is entering architecture, and what would you want to tell them? One good
what
advice.
what I would like to tell them is that read and get aware what you can do and where you can actually make a difference, where you can actually I mean, like for me, I read Fountainhead. I mean, someone just gave it to me. Oh, you want to study architecture? Here, take a novel. It gave me a greater perspective how architects are there are two types of architects, the ones which innovate, the others which live on the innovations of the uh, people who have already created. And it gave me a goal. So every time you have to reach out to people who might be able to give you one-to-one advice or help you to see another perspective of
Okay.
the profession.
So get more informed, maybe
That's
in
correct.
whichever source.
Get
Okay.
more informed, get more connected.
Connected. Right.
I
And
mean, like that we are able to speak to you from Delhi. I mean, would that have happened if there was no COVID?
Yes. Yes, we have COVID to thank for a lot of things.
yeah,
Jairam sir?
I just want to add one more thing.
Yes, sir.
When I completed, I mean, joined architecture, I thought, okay, I will become an architect. And at the edge of architecture completion, I got an opportunity to become a planner by entering into IIT. After completing planning in IIT, I thought I can be a planner. Then I joined in architecture come planning consultancy. My professor asked me to get experience before starting my firm. Once I joined there, I found that planning is more interesting than architecture. But because the planning is having a major role in creating a society in terms of policy making and macro level designing. Uh, but still, there are needs of architects in that because micro level creation also will have impact on macro level planning and designing. So I thought, okay, planning and architecture is very important in the society. After 3 years, I got an opportunity to join in academics. Then, since that 2003 to till today, I am doing both academic and my profession, like having my office in the evening, and I am just doing my academic profession in the college day-to-day activities. I feel both are very interesting, and both are giving me lots and lots of innovative things every day. I can say it's not like 1 year or after 5 years we can finish our knowledge. Not like that. It gives us lots of exposure, and it is making us and tuning towards something which we wanted to aim. So once
Yes.
students are joining architecture, they should have some aim, and they have to focus on that aim. Definitely they can reach that aim by proper tuning through different I mean, what you can say, supports from the academic as well as from the profession.
Okay. So aim and focus, Jairam sir is view. Binson sir?
Yes, I would like to add one thing. So, all I want to tell, okay, who wants to, like, people are in 12th or just graduated 12th. So, I just want to tell, if you have any kind of talent, if you know, okay, this is my talent, please develop it or make your own habit. It can be singing, it can be reading books, it can be traveling, anything, whatever, but please improve that particular talent. in future you never know what will what you'll become. For sure, whatever find your own corner, find your own niche where you can develop your skill. It can be anything. It can be public speaking also. Develop your own. It will help you in many ways. That's the only thing I want to add.
Thank you, sir. And I think I also agree. Architecture, I think, is also a good profession where you can enhance all your skills. You can be a better dancer while also studying architecture. You can, if you're interested in painting or drawing, that also you develop. If you're speaking, or if that is what you want. And I think architecture is a nice course where you get to develop all your abilities. And I think you get better at what you are. So it was actually a wonderful discussion. I think now we'll go on to the question answer session. So for the participants, how this works is you have a small button called raise your hand. So if you press that, we will call your name out and you can then unmute yourself and ask the questions. So yes, anybody who has a question, you could now ask. Questions? Because I have a huge list. If no one's asking questions, I'll continue.
Excuse me.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Could you just identify yourself and ask the question?
My name is Vaishnavi.
Yes. Yes, Vaishnavi.
That good colleges are required for architect.
Okay. I think the question is how important is an institute? Or what should you be looking in an institution while joining architecture? Could Jayaraman sir, would you want to start with that?
Yeah. When anybody wanted to join architecture, it is better they can join in residential campus architectural institutions, because once if they join architecture in a residential campus institution, definitely they will be getting lot of time to work on to the exercises which has been given by the faculties, and they will be improving their skills. Day-to-day activities will be linked to the architecture, and finally they will become successful by improving their abilities and skills. So better they can join the architectural institution which is having residential facilities.
Ma'am, any advice on how to go about choosing an institution?
So I think many years back you could really make the choices. Now it's so difficult because students get, you are part of a system. You get a NATA rating and then you get choices based on that. Or if you are directly applied to the SPAs. So I think the choice will be limited to the choices opened up to you. And within the choices opened up to you, you need to see what aligns more with your thought process. Like you need to look at who the faculty is and what work they are doing, and if their values are similar to the values you want to achieve. And of course, there's a list of institutions in the ratings they have, because now you get a standard positioning of the institute in terms of rating. So the obvious choice will be to get into the institute which has the topmost rating in the choices available to you. And sometimes, and I think on-campus life is great, and, but it's not delimiting. I mean, you can be an equally good architect living from the house also, if your family doesn't mind you putting loud music at night and working away. I mean, there are families who are very supportive and they give you very good khana and then let put a midnight snack out for you also. So there are some moms who are extremely supportive. So it depends on that. And there are some moms who will get lots of hostel students also to come and work in your house and feed everybody. So in architecture, you also make friends for life. And it will depend on your course mates and stuff like that.
Sure.
So don't worry too much. Go into the best college you get your admission into.
Yeah. Binson sir, do you want to add?
Yeah, I would like to add to this particular point. The one of the main factor which on this particular course, the supports from your parents, from your home, that's really important. Like half of the parents doesn't like they won't understand. To be honest, like they will compare to the other professions only. They won't have the proper knowledge. Okay, why these guys are like up till like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? Don't you want to sleep? That's a complete shock for them. So if you don't have a architecture background, so one main thing, your parents, if they are supportive, that's great. And and also while approaching colleges, I would suggest like talk to your already people who are in this industry or students or studying. Both hostels and day scholars have their own benefits and disadvantages. So like in a residential college, you will understand like many aspects of how a teamwork, how it works. But like a day scholar of that is a different type of lifestyle. Maybe that will there is benefits also. Again, if the parents are like supportive, that's great. Otherwise, like also while approaching colleges, you just talk to the people who are studying, the faculties, and the type of activities happening in that institution. That is really important. Just reading the textbook or just sitting and drawing, that's not the case. The amount of activities, amount of interactions, and how in the like it was like in the college, the past, it have like a good value. So yeah, that's it.
I completely agree, and I think as ma'am said, it's based on the ranking also. But I think along with that, I would suggest looking into the infrastructure if possible. If you could visit the college also, because a lot of colleges look good on paper and in real there is an issue. So most probably see if you can visit, and actually, as Binson said, also see if you can talk to pass outs from that college, and if possible, also if you can get some links with the faculty of that faculty. I think also are a huge part of the system. So see if you can see what kind of faculty, and also research facilities if available, the workshops and seminars that if they're doing. As Vincent said, extracurricular work also becomes extracurricular is not extracurricular in architecture. It's all part of the system, but maybe that also adds to the value of the college. So most probably those also. I think that answers your question. Hopefully.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. We have another question. I am not seeing any show of hands.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
I'm Mohammed Suhail.
Yeah.
Mohammed Suhail.
And then ask your question.
How to find a mentor in architecture?
Okay. I'm sorry, we didn't get your name. Is that
Mohammed Suhail?
Mohammed
Suhail.
Yes. How to get a mentor? First, maybe we'll just give a small introduction to who is a mentor and you need it in architecture and how does it work? Use?
Because
yes,
in learning architecture,
yeah,
I should know whether I was going in the right direction.
Right direction, yes.
So that I need a mentor. How to find them?
Okay. Ma'am?
I think you need to look at things in a wider perspective now. So the days of a single mentor are over. You have to understand there are different aspects of you which need to be mentored. So there is someone you would want advice from in what you want to study, but with someone you would need advice from which are the technologies you want to enhance your skills with. So what you need to look at is you need to look at role models. Like you need to look at that this is the kind of architecture I would like to produce. When you look at the role models, then you can come to a conclusion, and online you can get even their histories, like how they, like for Franco Gehry, for example, who made the Bilbao museum. He used to make very straight line buildings, and one client actually came and yelled at him and said, "What is this? Absolutely straight stuff you're making?" And that client changed the way, that client actually became a mentor and changed the way the architect actually started working. So I would suggest that if you need academic advice, look for a different mentor. If you need practical advice, you look for another mentor. If you need business advice, you look for another mentor. If you want to look at sustainable buildings, then you look for someone else. So uh, don't expect one human being to satisfy all your mentoring needs.
True. Completely agree. Sir, do you want to add anything, Jairam sir, or
Yeah, actually,
Binson?
mentor means the person who is giving proper advice and tuning the person, right? So, when he joins or the student joins architecture or any profession in this country, UGC has kept a role, asked the institutions to keep mentor for students. That means each mentor will have 10 to 12 students according to the UGC standards. Always any college, any discipline students are joining, they will be having mentor in the college. Academic wise, they will be monitored and they will be having regular interaction with the students every week, and they will be guiding the students. But before joining any engineering or architecture, students should feel that their parents are the major mentor, according to me, or their teachers who have taught him or her in 12th standard. They can get guidance from them for focusing on their future based on their interest. And then after joining, they will be definitely alerted with the mentor, and they will be tuned in what way they have interest. That interest will be carried out, and they will be successful in their life.
Binson sir, do you want to add anything?
No, I'm completely agreeing with both of what they are telling.
Right. And I think I just to add one small, I think there's one saying which says that when the student is ready, the teacher appears, or the mentor will appear. So I think it's left to the student. It's the search, I guess. When you search for the right people, you know what you're searching for, then the mentor happening is just a matter of time. Yes. So the next question.
Thank you.
Can we have the next question? Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sohail. Could we have the next question, please?
Can I? This is Sudhir here. I'm the father
Yes.
of Nivedita.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. My daughter is in the 10th standard this year. She's a dancer and she plays badminton, etc. She hasn't been able to really zero in on the career that she wants to take going forward. Somehow, I mean, it is my opinion that probably architecture would be a good field for her because of her interest in the arts. She's good in science, but she has this fear whether she would be able to really do well in physics and in maths and things like that. So that's been her concern. So she's showing a little bit of resistance going into taking, science stream in the +1. I just was curious as to how I can really give her a right guidance on that area, particularly with architecture, whether there's a lot of maths and a lot of physics to be done and things like that, whether her fears are really, really in the right place, or is there some way I can guide her on that?
Yes. I think Jairam sir can go into the academics of it, and
Yeah.
he'll.
So there is actually it's very interesting if students are studying 11th and 12th in physics, chemistry, and maths, because they are going to study only the basics. Once they join, I mean, architecture according to your wish, it is difficult for them to continue. You make them your ward Niveta to get interest in architecture. Once she get interest in architecture, she can easily pass physics, chemistry, and maths in 12th. And in architecture, it is very, I mean, there is a need of physics, chemistry, and maths, but not a need as the requirement of engineering and other things. In general architecture, they will be using the maths, physics, chemistry knowledge in a little bit, and they will be fully changed towards the architectural mind and the later stage. And it is easy for her to take physics, chemistry, maths, and make her interest in architecture. Then only she can success that one. But normally in academic, they need only 50% of pass marks in both all the three subjects, and nata score has to be taken out of 290. She has to score. But if she gets more marks also, fine, she will be you need to get create interest to her in such a way that she will be completely pass that all three subjects.
Okay. I think the condensation of the question is a dad interested in architecture wants to get his daughter interested how to go about doing it.
We have to
Smita ma'am, any advice?
No, just to add, my sense is that she's quite creative. She does a lot of drawings and
Fine.
interested in
Yes.
art. No, that's a place from where my thoughts have generated. It's not that I really want to thrust it
No.
on her. That's not definitely
I
not
was
the
just
idea.
joking.
But at the same time, I would like to give her an opportunity to take an informed decision.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
for your question, already Benson sir has given clear-cut answer. She needs passion and interest in profession. For that, basic needs has to be fulfilled. When they go for taking that profession, they need to complete that major requirements. What is needed for that profession? So I hope she will be getting interest in joining architecture after 2 years.
So here's my advice.
Yes.
I think, online, she should read a few, or go on YouTube and listen to a few architects how they design buildings. Because eventually, when you will come out into the field, you will always have a structural engineer doing the actual structural design for you. So the architect is like the person who actually leads the orchestra. Like, in if I give you an analogy in musical terms. So you have to know when the drummer has to play, when the violinist has to play. So you don't have to know how to play the violin, but you need to know what are the intricate ways in which the sound of the violin will match with the sound of the guitar or the other instrument. So, in architecture, you will be trained to have all the scientific knowledge. But when you start practicing, there will be a person who will actually be an engineer or an air conditioning engineer or an automation engineer or a sound engineer. So everything you want to integrate into your building will have another specialization who will come in and will give the technical know-how. But you need to know how these things will fit into each other like a puzzle. So you need to be trained in the conceptual realm of the scientific items. I hope that will make it clear to you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Vincent, sir,
That
do you want
answered my
to
question.
add something?
Yeah, I would like to add a small thing towards that. To be honest, if you are ready to accept yourself, know yourself, this physics, chemistry, maths, it doesn't matter in architecture. That's like from my knowledge and from my experience also. It's not that much difficult when you're comparing to the engineering courses. It's any other professions. It's not that much difficult. All you need to accept yourself and ready to learn more things. You have to keep learning things. You have to experiment a lot of things. You can't tell this is a different type of toughness towards this course. It's not only about physics, maths, chemistry. All you need to accept yourself, ready to adapt to this particular course. All you need to know, just talk to different people, just go through journals, just go through multiple videos, interviews of architects, or talk to architects. Then just you have to understand, like students should understand, okay, whether this, okay, I can do this. All you need to do, that's it. Yeah.
Smita ma'am, you want to add something?
Yeah, I think the mind should be ready to make scientific inquiries.
Inquire.
You again, I love going back to Steve Jobs' way of having made the Apple phone because I think all the youngsters relate to it. Like he didn't want to use plastic on his screen; he only wanted to use glass. And nobody in the world at that time was making glass which was structurally stable and resistant to impact and would not break. So he went to Corning and made them design glass which was stronger than the glass which existed at that time. He didn't need to go into the nitty gritties of doing the scientific design, but uh, he went into the process of creating a vision of taking science to another level. And architecture also in each generation takes the scientific inquiry to another level. And then the building industry and the other scientific people like the engineers and the, you know, material scientists, they respond to the needs which architects create. So we are not thinking like your child is not going to live with the innovations of today. They are going to live with the innovations of their generation. So she should definitely have a inquiring mind, like
Curiosity.
a mind to understand science.
Right. Curiosity and exploration, most probably, ma'am. A healthy
Yeah,
curiosity.
but I'm talking in the scientific field.
Okay, in the scientific. Okay, right.
Yeah, because his question was specific to
Yes.
student having difficulties in assessing
Yes.
her own abilities in the scientific field. So you
Right.
may not be able to do the whole formula, but you
Right.
should be able to say how you want a material to perform or how you want a
Yes.
structure to perform. That
Right.
is the architect's role. The
Right.
structural engineer is not going to do that for you.
Right. If I may just add to that, I think as Smita ma'am already said, when she got inspired when someone gave her the Fountainhead book. So most probably directing your children towards that books or any material, or if they could visit an architect's office, and actually architects are much friendlier than people make them out to be. So I think many architects will welcome any student interested, know more about the profession. They would definitely. So you could look up architect's office and ask them if you could visit them for a day. You could ask out pass out students. You could call up students who are already there in architecture colleges or faculty. Even I think we'd be happy if, hopefully, if it wasn't COVID, we would have said, please visit us in our campus and we could have a talk and with your daughter also. But if possible, you could also consult with, talk to faculty, architecture practitioners, or even, as ma'am said, other allied fields, people who are working in allied fields. So I think that will also help. And usually I tell my admission people who come for, I tell all the students to go on to YouTube as a reference, because YouTube has everything. It's like how to become an architect, what skills do you need, how to dress like an architect, what stationery do you need to buy. It's all exciting videos, well done. And I think for someone starting off, I think there are a lot of material online also to find out what the profession is about. So hopefully that will get her interest. I'm pretty sure if she looks through it, I can guarantee that they will be curious and they would take it up. So that's about it. I think that's extensively we've spoken about it. Thank you, Sudhi sir.
Thank you very much. That's
Yes,
very
thank
really
you.
thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah. Another question?
Sir,
Yes.
Excuse me,
sir, my name
sir.
is.
One second.
Hello.
Sir,
Akash, I'm guessing.
yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Ma'am,
my name
next
is.
after Akash. Yeah. Akash, go
Sir,
ahead.
my name is Agashaji.
Yes.
Sir, what are the other career options in architecture other than building buildings?
I think our speakers have spoken about a lot of these options, and I think they've already told you about it's related to the interest and what field you are more drawn towards during your architectural education also. But can we help him out with this? What all possible? I think he just wants a list of different career options which are possible.
So I think what is important is that you go into the website of the colleges. Like for example, SPA has an undergraduate planning course as well as an architecture course. Some other universities also have an graduate landscape course. So it will depend on if you are already very clear what is the specialization you want to take on after architecture, then you can look for other undergrad courses. Otherwise, I can assure you once you join architecture, maybe around fourth year, you will be able to decide which is the field you want to go and do your master's in. Because it's unless you're exposed to the profession in depth, it's a very arbitrary choice. I mean, you can't make that choice without knowing what that aspect of architecture, not architecture, I would say, built environment and the natural environment, what it involves. Because you might decide to become a horticulturist at the end of it, or you might decide to become a traffic planner, or you may decide to become, a landscape architect, or you may decide to even become a graphic designer or a photographer, like Binson has already said. So keep your choices open and don't be very rigid about exploring. Explore unless you're absolutely certain. Like you're certain you want to do only planning, then apply for the undergrad planning courses.
Right. I think he wants to know, apart from building, I think directly instead of doing architecture, what all can he go in? Maybe that is
Yeah,
what
shall I say, Praveen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
actually, a human being needs food, shelter, and clothes, right? So all these three things are part of architecture, we can say. If you complete architecture, you can go in different branches. Even one of my student in Midas has taken the food industry as his profession, and he is doing the is doing the
Culinary
job on
design.
that only. Yeah. Same way, there are so many professions. You can go in industrial design. You can go to interior design. There are planning, urban design, so many things. Not only building, but building related professions is also there. Lot of professions. Lot of interdisciplinary things related to architecture is there. Once you come to final year, you will be tuned towards that based on your interest.
Right. Binson sir, do you have anything to add? I think Binson sir is the person who's taken a career choice a little out of
Yeah,
the
students can
normal.
go take even journalism also. One of our
Yes.
faculty, what is that person who is now SEPT director? Or who is that name? Sachidanand. I don't know. That person was journalist in Hindu newspaper, and he wrote a lot of conservation architectural articles, and then he joined in SEPT, and he is now director in that. So there are different scopes available other than building in only building related architecture.
Yeah. Binson sir, the question.
So yeah, I would like to add to this. So you can think of it in two ways. If you want to specialize or other, like there are like masters in architecture or indirect specializations in other like different options also there. So two ways you can think. Say okay, if you are in, like ma'am said, if you are entering into architecture in the fourth year, that till fourth year is just baby steps only, literally baby steps. Then only, like after, you will see the practical side of industry. So that time only you will start thinking about, okay, I started enjoying this particular area. It can be landscape. There are in architecture, there are different type of specializations like landscape, interior designing, urban planning, like lot similar to that. But okay, no, if you are if you are thinking for entirely different from all these specializations, there are other venues also. There are graphic designers, which architecture gives you a back support. You can the thought process, everything will be different. You can be a photographer, like architecture photographer, and you can be I know people like musicians, set designers, like for film industry you can do set, or TV industry. So and you can be a product designer, like it's like not core architecture, but this architecture education give you enough back support to develop your own skill. So yeah.
He can be a
I
project
think
manager also.
yes. I
Exactly.
think the options are unlimited, or you can, like Ratan Tata, become the chairman of the biggest corporation in India
So,
also.
What about Aishwarya Rai?
good afternoon,
Yes,
sir.
you should become
Praveen,
an
sir.
actor.
This,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
this is Smita's
Yes, ma'am.
mother, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
My daughter is going through NATA for 2 years, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
First year she failed, so again she joined NATA coaching class and she's doing. Yeah, I think
Okay.
whether it's possible to pass NATA. She is not able to pass the NATA. What is the other way to join the BR? Because her aim is to become yeah, one day.
Yeah, ma'am. The
She's doing very
problem
well in
nowadays,
drawing, everything.
ma'am, could you
Yes,
just
sir.
repeat the last part of it?
She's very well in drawing, sir.
Okay.
She's good in drawing. Is there any
Yeah.
way to possible to join the B if it is NATA, if she are not able to pass the NATA?
Yeah. Actually,
Hello?
it is impossible, ma'am, to join architecture without having a NATA score. It has
Okay.
become mandatory. So no matter where you study in India, you need a NATA score to, you should have passed NATA to apply, because the registration number that you get during your NATA, that stays on till you
Okay, sir.
graduate and also till you register. So it kind of becomes a reference. So it is
So another one
impossible to do. But
question.
just to add to
Mm.
your answer, ma'am, this time it's completely an online exam, and we're all hoping it's going to
Okay,
be
sir.
simpler, because even the drawing portion of it is becoming multiple choice. You'll be selecting
Okay,
answers.
sir.
So everything has become
Okay, sir.
online now. And I am guessing that with the proper training, they must be able to get through, ma'am. It is not difficult, because they only test your aptitude. It's
Okay.
not having to know stuff. It is almost trying to gauge whether you're able to learn. I mean, so will you be able to survive the course is, I think, very roughly what they try to find out. So it shouldn't be a big problem if you have just the basic training. So as you've said, she's interested in drawing, and I'm assuming she has pretty decent skills. So I think you could talk to the NATA center. If she's going to a particular NATA center, you could talk to them and find out what level she is in and what support she needs. And I think you can contact our administration
sir.
also. They'll most probably be able to guide you
sir.
better. So
Sir, another one question, sir.
yeah.
Can I ask, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, if she pass NATA, we are in middle class. So either it is possible to join in government college or private college. Is there any way to get scholarship or anything, loan or anything, sir? Because we are not able to expend. We are not able to spend so much amount, no, sir. What is the way to join?
Ma'am, banks do allow give you educational loans, so most probably that could be one thing.
Sir.
Different colleges have
But
different
now it's the
scholarship
corona.
systems. Yeah.
But it is a corona situation. Whether whether the students will get that loan, is it possible
Yes,
to
ma'am.
get the
They
loan?
are, because yes, I think that is not an issue, because all our students who are
Okay, sir.
currently in our college are also going through the same process. So they've already got their loans, and now the loans have been extended also. So I think it's possible, but again, I can't, with the financial stuff, I'm not very conversant with. So you could contact our college.
sir.
There are other people who can give you a better idea. I don't know if Meenakshi sir is there right now. Meenakshi Sundaram sir, if you're there, you could most probably help us out.
Or even Jabin can help.
Yes, sir. We can help her. The scholarship, if he belongs to the particular community, Tamil Nadu state government is offering the scholarship based on your other than your OC community.
Or you can just get in contact with us, ma'am. We'll give you a.
Okay, sir.
And
Please
loan
give the
also you can
number,
apply.
sir. I will contact.
Yes,
I will contact you, sir. Whether
Yes,
the college will help.
Yes,
Whether
madam.
the college will help the student. Okay, sir.
We will help
Okay,
you
sir.
to get the scholarship
Okay.
to apply bank loan and all, not an issue.
And
Okay, sir.
one more
Please
thing.
give the number, sir.
Yeah,
Sure,
ask
madam,
Shweta to concentrate more on basic images of famous buildings in India, like Taj Mahal,
Okay, sir.
internationally also. Ask her to concentrate
Okay,
on
sir.
basic principles like balance, rhythm, proportion. Like there are some important terminologies are used in architecture. So once the students want to join architecture, they should know the basics.
Okay,
So
sir.
ask her to
Okay.
maybe she might have got 2 years experience in NATA,
Yes,
how the
sir.
things are happening.
Mm.
Mental ability and
Okay, sir.
Praveen sir told us,
Mm.
if she finds some good experience or practice in learning these mental ability things, she can easily pass through this NATA this time definitely, because all the questions are option based, multiple option based. So we hope she will be passing this time.
Okay, sir. With all your blessings. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Do we have any other questions? Yes.
Hello.
Sir,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I don't see names, so. Yeah, you can go ahead with the question.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, Siddharth.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir and ma'am. I'm a third year student now in architecture, and I've had an interest in photography right from the beginning, but it has begun to dominate my interest over design during this lockdown situation and all. I have a very good passion for photography, so my question is that how to get the most of architecture as well as photography after graduating architecture? How to pursue and how to make use of my passion to the most as well?
Clearly, the question goes to Binson.
All right. So, hey Siddharth, I just want to tell you, like, okay, so first you have to understand, okay, whether you want to balance architecture and photography, right? So,
Yes, sir.
first of all, if you are concentrating in architecture photography perspective, I can tell you, if you are a good architect, then only you can become a good architecture photographer. To be clear, or no, I want like a good eye on like any other kind of commercial photography or any kind of photography.
Any
So
kind
first
of
of all,
photography, sir.
sorry,
Any kind of photography, yes, sir.
any kind of photography. Then first of all, I would suggest you have to first practically, I can tell you one thing: make enough money, then jump into photography. To be honest, I can tell you openly, I can tell you, make enough money to live, find your own corner, and then develop your own like passion. This photography, you can keep learning things. Try to first of all, okay, if you want to, it will be really hard to balance both at a time. But I would suggest don't leave architecture at all. If you are like already you're a student, don't leave architecture. Give preference to architecture first, then second, get good graduation, find like a proper job with architecture, then only you start following. Like you can follow passion, that's fine. First you need to make little bit of money. Like the practical side of photography, I can tell you, you need a huge investment to start your own career and all. So that's what I'm telling. Find your own like bread and butter first, then follow your passion, and don't leave both. Yeah.
Okay, sir, sure. And one more question is that, as you told, after finishing our UG in architecture, for our masters, can I have that second choice, like taking something related to photography and?
Yes, so there are courses which you can do masters, like the diploma in photography is there, degree in photography is there. That's there. It's always you can do. If you have already architecture but you can do on like a different diploma or different type of level of courses are there, so you don't have to worry about. There are institute also you can do still. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Siddharth.
Hello.
Shall we take more questions?
Hello.
Meenakshi, sir?
Yes, sir, you can take about 2 more questions.
Hello.
Okay, we can take a
Hello.
couple more questions.
Yeah,
Yes, please ask your question, ma'am.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Good
please
afternoon,
ask.
everyone.
Yes, good afternoon.
I'm Smita Sonkar. I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
question that while studying architecture, what are the challenges we face, like generally?
Challenges in terms of
Like while studying architecture, like
the
generally we face
subject
certain
itself
situations, like
or
subject,
your
yeah,
lifestyle?
subject,
Okay.
subject, totally subject.
What would be a big challenge, I think is the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Depends on the
challenge will
person.
relate. I think the challenge will relate to your ability. Like
Okay.
wherever there are things like which are related to different skills. There are subjects which are related, like history of architecture, etc. It's related to uh, studying perspective of how architecture is developed. Now, if you are not interested in history, then you're going to find that boring, and then you may not pay enough attention to it. But if you don't pay enough attention, the challenge in architecture is to balance your skills with the curriculum and to go deeper. Like a teacher will raise your level of curiosity in a certain subject, but the challenge for you is to pick the essence of what is being taught and do your own research to it. The challenge in architecture is there's not a prescribed book of architecture. So it's not like you follow a course and you top the course because you read that particular text and bugged it up and put it down on the examination sheet. The challenge is to be innovative. Challenge is to make choices every morning when you wake up, decide your priorities, and continue the process of honing your skills. And also to find within yourself what are your talents, which I think Jairam ji had clearly mentioned, that you have to find your own talent and excel in that aspect.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, how do we develop our creative skills?
Creative skills get developed with exposure and with practice. So, one thing is to understand what the parameters are of the solution you need to create. The other thing is to sit and make solutions. So sometimes you have to draw the same thing maybe 10 times, 15 times, till you start seeing that all the parameters, like, do you know the math thing of permutation and combination?
Yes.
So what happens in that is you have many variables. So suppose you're designing a room, you think you're being very creative, but the choices are so many. You may have different colors to work with, different materials to work with, different forms to work with. It's only when you draw subsequently many times, then you will come to a conclusion that this solution is working. And over a period of time, you will develop a style and the solutions will come faster.
Yeah, and also visual perspective is very important. How she is showing the seeing the object in depth, that also will create. I mean, will improve her skills. She should not just see the object generally, and she should not leave. She have to see each and every how much depth she can show into observing that visual perception level can be increased, and that will help to increase the skills of a particular student. And you asked about the challenge, challenge means, according to me, the major challenge is lack of interest in studies. Once if she shows the interest, whatever the faculties are giving the work, if she continuously doing that by improving regularly by interaction with their faculties, definitely she will not be seeing any challenges during the academic point of view. Only maybe the friend circle or the environment may give some hurdles in their academic wise, but that can be easily sorted out. There won't be any challenge if she follows the follows the rules and regulations of the faculties or advice of the faculties, we can say.
Binson, sir?
Yeah, so I would like to add on the creativity part. Like, if you want to improve your creative thoughts, three things are, like, in my opinion, three things. If you are concentrating, keep exploring, keep experimenting yourself, and self-analyze. Whatever you are doing, just compare with your, like, past. Okay, I have done a drawing. Say, example, I have done a drawing. Just look at the drawing and with your current drawing. So, are you like you for you yourself, are you seeing any difference? That means it's great. But if you're not seeing any difference, that means something is going wrong. Keep analyzing yourself, keep exploring and experimenting new things. So then obviously your thoughts, your mind will keep getting grower, like you'll start gaining more knowledge. So yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Just to add to that, I think during the COVID time, I'm increasingly becoming aware that the biggest challenge in my life is me. I have to work on. I think there's this I think placard in front of the Temple of Apollo which says "Temet no se," which means know thyself. So the more you know yourself, and I think you can work on your weaknesses, build on your strengths, and I think then challenges are the good part of architecture. I think, or on a larger picture, life also. Challenges make us better. So I think you should look forward to challenges and see how to work with them. I know that I don't know if that even made sense, but I know that I wanted to say that. Yeah, we'll just take the last question. Just one more question, and I think we'll wrap.
Hello.
It's 12:50. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Karthika. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, is that Karthika?
Yes, sir. I'm Kartika from Kerala.
Yes, Karthika, please ask your question.
I just want to ask that, and finally, I have decided to take BR, like architecture field, and my family, they are not, they are disappointed a bit. Like, they're saying a lot of things that this is going to be a big task for me. You study a 5 years course and you just graduated it. You just put a lot of effort, and you are not finding a good job. Like, you have to run for it. You have to run, and you have to compete a lot. They are the worries of my family, and all I could say is that Amma or a dad, you know what? This is my passion. Like, I feel like I'm good at it. I'm happy of doing this. I'm happy when I'm drawing. I'm happy when I'm creating. So I have to do it. But they have a lot of worries that after having a family, it's hard to balance both your profession and your family in your hand. So they are asking me to take something else. So there is anything that I can do for them to convince them?
Actually, I think before I go to the panelists, the one thing is that all professions are hard. I mean, if you have to excel in it, you're going to put equal amount of effort. You're going to make the same amount of sacrifices. So I don't think there's a simple profession as such. If you want to be the best and you want to really succeed, then everything is maybe so your parents could be told that. But I think the panelists could help me out here. What could she tell
So
a parent?
I think I'm a good one for this.
Yes, ma'am.
So I had the same problem when I was trying to do architecture, and I actually also took architecture by the process of elimination. I did not want to work under a boss. I didn't want to, be dominated by existing rules and regulations, and I wanted to work in a free sort of an environment. So when I was a child, my father took me to see an architect's office. And the architect's office, on the ground floor was the office, on the first floor he was living. And this is what I've done in my life also now, because I want to give equal weightage to my family as to my profession. I want to bring up my children in the way I want to bring them up. I want to be home at a time when I need to be there for them. So, if you set up your own private practice at a point in life, you can actually balance. There are times when I go up to the office after the children have gone to sleep and work through the night. So, in fact, architecture has given me the flexibility to develop my personal life and my professional life with equal weightage. And to be, there are site visits which you can do early in the morning and then go for a child's parent teacher meeting and then come back and have a client meeting. So you can work like that. Of course, what you need is to design your setup for the profession in a manner. And as far as money is concerned, I think in the world, every profession has its up and down. So the money will depend on how good you are at your work and how many people seek you out to do their work. And also on the networking skills you have. Because people who need your type of people must know that you exist. So don't be worried about all these things. Start thinking about how you can be a successful architect.
Thanks.
Anything to add? I think Binson sir wants.
And I want to add that when my daughter was doing architecture, because she's now a full-fledged architect, I kept telling her that you won't make money. And she was crying and saying, no, but this is what I want to do. And she is doing pretty well now also. So it's just that you have to excel in what you do.
Flash lama was named.
Do you want, Binson sir, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I want to add one thing. So, like sir said, in any career there are difficulties, ups and downs. So one thing I can tell you, like if you are really enjoying what you are doing, or if you already know what is architecture all about, and if you are interested in things, one thing I can assure, if you are not getting enough money or whatever, you will not regret for this particular career. This, if you are ready to accept and if you are start building your career in architecture, you won't regret. The thing is, like, you can design your own life in this particular career, which I don't think so this is the case for all other any other profession. Here you can draw the line where you want to be, or how many hours you want to work, or how you have to work, how to balance with your family, your friends, everything you can design. That is one of the benefit. And for sure, if you are not, like, again, like a lot of like young, like beginning people, like including I was like that. So people are like, okay, I'm not making enough money. Yes, but you won't regret. You will get a different kind of satisfaction if you already enjoying this. That's great. If you know architecture better, like, it's really, I can assure that you won't regret in your life for sure. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, sir. I think there are a lot of questions coming in, but I'm so sorry we are out of time. We've already exceeded the time quite a bit. Wonderful having all of you, or especially the panelists. It's been a great discussion. I've learned a lot. I'm pretty sure all the participants have also had a great experience and have got to know a lot of things. So if you have further questions, I would encourage the participants, you can mail it to us or you can message it to us too also, and we could get
Yes,
back
sir.
to
Praveen,
you.
sir, we have posted the feedback. We have posted the
Yes.
feedback form also. They can also
Yes,
raise the question
they
in the
can also
feedback.
do that. Yes, so please get in contact with us if you have any further queries. So with that, we are ending up this session. I would request now our HOD, Professor Justin, to give us the vote of thanks. Justin, sir?
So, am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think this would have been the best session for all these upcoming architects or upcoming students or people who are willing to become architects, because we had three different panelists, different generations, a motherly architect and a person who has done 2 decades of practice, and a young upcoming or the young architect here. So I think the three different exposures would have at least amazed all these students now. I could also observe like lots of concerns of the parents and other stuff. I think I can assure that there we succeeded in making this as a very successful webinar, because the concerns of at least we have addressed the concerns of the parents there. So I think this was a wonderful session. Just as before I get into this vote of thanks, I will just wrap up with 1 or 2 points which I just wanted to say that, and if those parents are still there, one is that apart from NATA, JEE paper 2 also qualifies to become architects for when you are applying for SPAs and other colleges. Okay. And basically, when it comes to private colleges, you can apply for a management seat with this JEE scores apart from the NATA. That is again for the NATA. It is a another choice of getting into architecture. That is one thing. Second thing is like one parent about this PCM subjects about her daughter. I think the basic qualifying marks is only 50% put together. So I think any student will manage to score that. So I think that parent, I remember his name is Siddiq. So he cannot, I think that will be one deliverance. And third is like one parent was a bit thinking about the expenses towards architecture. This is actually a misconception. Like people understand it is not actually expensive, because we don't insist on anything that is costly in any of our academic activities. Even the model of a clay should be enough for any submission. So it is the students who prefer to go for expensive materials and other stuff. Basically, it may be slightly expensive than any other courses in terms of stationery requirement, but in terms of fees, it is at par, because the government fixes the fees, and I think it remains the same for all engineering and professional courses. So one student was asking about the creativity, and my suggestion towards that is like have a gratitude journal. Gratitude is the key for creativity. So that is one thing. And the other student, she was concerned about the 5th years of course, and about the earning part of it. For your information, for the students or the budding people who are thinking of architecture, actually the course limits to 4 years of academic class oriented courses, and the fifth year becomes training under thesis, where in the training you will be paid with the stipend in the ninth semester. It is like the house urgency of an MBBS graduate. So you will be paid in that terms. There it will not be not much, but you can still at least manage to live yourself. So that way, it is actually a 4 years course, and the fifth year is going to pay you back. If you are good at your own creative skills, and if you put some extra work apart from your academics, you can still earn more on that. So I know people who have started their own offices, or at least supporting the offices after their fourth year. So I think after fourth year you can still think of earning, and it should be possible. So that and finally, I just want to say that as everybody said, like there is definitely challenges in every profession, but you will seldom find an architect regretting for doing architecture. So that is the best part of architecture. Anybody, though he's earning or not, finally nobody will regret just just for taking architecture. So I think I just want to, I cannot keep it myself, so that's why I just want to break out here. And thanks for the people who are listening so patiently for the past 2 hours. And I would definitely thank our resource people here, Madam from Delhi and Bansal, like for their valuable time and taking very close to every questions and answering to their hearts. So I think this had. Uh, I think this would have answered many of the questions, and of course there will be questions again still, because it is a career opportunity that everybody thinks of. That they'll be thinking so much on that only. So yeah, we'll be opening up the question answers with our thing, and we can get it answered from any of our sources also. So here I would thank everybody for being with us, the resource person, and especially the resource persons I'll thank here, the participants for being so patient, and the organizing teams and other people here. So thanks for making this as a successful program. Thanks CT Praveen sir for moderating the complete stuff for the past 2 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. It was really interesting. And thank you, Praveen, for asking such interesting questions, and also to the participants for having so much curiosity for the profession. And wish all of you a good journey into architecture.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank you for the
Smita.
words of wisdom.
So
Thank you
nice
for your
of you to,
experience. Yes,
so
yes,
nice
please.
of you to meet with you, and we will be meeting with you personally. I mean, virtually in our college, and maybe after a new normalcy situation comes. We hope. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank you.
Benson.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Praveen,
Thank
and
you all.
thank you,
Thank
management.
you.